It's the story of an American held in a dark Venezuelan prison.
Then all of a sudden, they all kind of lined up. They pointed their guns at me. And this is the point where I thought, I'm going to die today.
I'm Becky Bruce. I spent a year working on Hope in Darkness, which now has more than 2 million downloads. Find it on kslpodcast.com or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hey, welcome to Project Recovery, a podcast about addiction, but more importantly, it's about recovery. And if you're looking for a road to recovery, look no further than Pinnacle Recovery Center. They got me on my road, and they can help you out. Dr. Matt, we've got a great show today.
We sure do.
We've got Patrick here. We're going to talk to him just a second. He's been on the show once before, but we're having him back because we're going to be talking about the 12 steps. Now, I've said before that I'm not a 12-step kind of guy, but there is some stuff in there that I really relate to, and that's really helped me out along my journey.
Definitely.
So we're going to break down the steps.
Patrick's going to break down the steps.
Yeah.
We're going to learn. I feel like we're going to go to school today.
I like that.
And I as a professor, one of my favorite things to do is hear a good lecture.
Really?
I love getting taught stuff. Yeah. So Patrick's going to take us to school.
We are so different. We are so different. I remember I loved a good lecture because that meant I could sleep.
No,
And then
that's a
I'd ask the
bad
hot
lecture.
chick next to me, hey, can I borrow your notes after class?
Well, yeah, you have to do that anyway. But that's a bad lecture. A good lecture is when you're like entranced and you're interested in the guy or gal talking, that they're an expert, you know?
That's how I am right now with that show on Netflix called You. Have you seen this?
No, you keep telling me I need to watch it, though.
Man, it is, whoa.
Yeah?
It's good.
It's intense, right?
Yeah. I'm only on the first season.
Okay.
There's 2 seasons.
I thought you were going to say the first episode.
No. I'm not going to oversell it on the first episode. I'm about on episode 6, and it is weird.
All right. It's on my list.
Hey, so I want to talk to you about something. And so everybody knows that I'm in this program called 24/7.
Right.
And so it's where I go down to Ogden City.
You're still doing that, huh?
Yeah. I started September 11th, and that's when I'm done. Yeah. 24/7. I was there on New Year's. I was there on Super Bowl. I was there on my birthday.
I think this program is so cool, but honestly, it just blows my mind that you do it every single day.
Yeah. And now we start to hold court in there while we're waiting to blow, and everybody's telling jokes. And like I walked in there, and there was 12 of us, and I go, you know what we have in common? And they go, what? And I go, we all make bad decisions. But it's just kind of fun. But so I go up there, and I'm talking to the guy who's administering the breathalyzer.
Okay.
And you know,
is that an official title? Is there a title for that?
It's Corporal Stouffer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I did learn that 3 bars is a sergeant, 2 bars is a corporal.
Okay, what's 1 bar?
Where I can't go anymore.
Nice.
See what I did there?
Nice.
I brought it all back. But I asked him, I said, how are you doing today? And you know, I kind of ask that when I meet people all day long.
Sure.
And he goes, you know, I'm okay. And I went, just okay? And he goes, yeah, that's all I got for you. And I went, you know what? I like that. I appreciate that.
Honest.
It was honest because I think so many times in interaction with people throughout the day, either one, we ask the question and not really care about the answer.
Right. Sometimes people don't even break stride.
Yeah.
They just keep going.
Hey, how you doing?
And they don't even slow down.
But what if we did take some time to actually talk to somebody and say, hey, how are you doing?
Yeah.
And then wait for their response. And I'm guilty of this. I always tell people all the time, how you doing? Fabulous. And I can tell you right now, I'm not always doing fabulous, but I always want to portray that I'm being fabulous or I'm doing fabulous.
I think there's some power in that, actually. I mean, you know, every day has its ups and downs. Mm-hmm. And so where you focus, where you choose to emphasize in your day has a lot of emotional power in your life. That being said, so I think it's okay to say, you know, I'm doing great, I'm doing fabulous. But there is a point when it builds relationships when a person's willing to do what the corporal did and just say, nah, I'm okay. You know, that's about, you know, being a little more honest.
And I asked him, I said, not great, not bad? And he goes, no, I'm just okay.
Just okay, yeah.
And I went,
which is better than terrible.
And it took me back because I was like, whoa, someone's being honest with me.
Being honest with you, yeah.
You know, and so I think we should do that. Next time you ask somebody how they're doing.
Well, I think it starts, though, with, like if somebody asks me how I'm doing, I don't think I plan this out, but if I get the sense that they are asking in a real sincere way, I'm much more likely to give them an honest answer. If it's more of a greeting, like, hey, how you doing? Then I'm more likely to just default to, I'm good, great, that kind of stuff. So I think if you go out there, ask the question in an honest, sincere way, you'll get more of an honest response.
But I also think that if you just ask it generally and honestly and earnestly, to somebody who you might not know that well, they might be going, someone's asking how I'm doing.
Yeah, and that's actually really powerful. As you walk around your place of work today or wherever, even at home, friends and family, you don't know what everybody's going through. And sometimes somebody reaching out to you in a sincere way and just asking how you're doing can mean all the difference in the world. We've talked so many times, in fact, last week's show, about how important relationships are and connecting with other people in helping us stay sober. But more than that, I would say just in boosting our emotional health. Somebody cares about me. And so sometimes when somebody reaches out, it makes a big difference. You may not even always know what a difference you made in someone's life.
So how are you doing?
I'm fabulous. I already told you how I'm doing. My car broke down yesterday.
You hit yourself in the face with a shovel. I hit myself
in the face with a shovel this morning, got a bloody nose. I was late to my clinic meeting, and they all kind of stopped the meeting and made fun of me because I had a tissue sticking out of my face. So it's been a pretty good day. It's average.
There you go. Hey, well, today we got a great show for you, and today we want to talk about AA and the 12-step program. Now, I've said often that I'm not a 12-step kind of guy, but I did like...
Why is that? Why do you think you're not a 12-step kind of guy? Because you've just demonstrated that since September, you can get up and you can end your day and start your day doing the same thing. So you can do consistency.
Yeah.
Why not 12 steps?
It didn't jive with me, man. And not to get all like hippie and heavy on you, but when I went in there, I'm not a guy who likes to be told how to do things. I mean, I'd like some...
I think I know that about you.
Yeah, but I want the end result, and I don't want to believe that this is the only way to stay sober.
Yeah.
And so for me, it just didn't jive. I liked sitting in the room, and I liked sitting with 200 people who were just like me that couldn't figure it out. So for the first time in my addiction, I didn't feel alone.
I can totally see that, because you are a people person.
Yeah.
Like out of all my friends, I would say you are probably the most other-oriented. You feel like you don't walk... I've never seen you in an elevator or in a hallway or in any room where you're not talking to everybody.
My girlfriend and ex-wife go, do you have to talk to everybody?
Yeah, you do.
And I do. And silence kills me.
Yeah.
That's one of my phobias.
So I could see that affiliation with the 12-step people, that might feel good to you.
I loved the stories. When you go to a 12-step meeting, you sit down and people get up and share their stories. And the cool thing is sometimes they're good stories, sometimes they're not doing well. But it's in the stories that I found things that could really help me along my journey. And that was one of the big reasons why I wanted to do this podcast.
Right.
Because I found power in others' stories.
Absolutely.
But I wasn't too keen on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 steps. And maybe some of that's just being lazy. And that's just me being honest with you.
It is.
Yeah.
It is you being lazy.
And that's Patrick, who's going to come down. And I've had a lot of people that reach out to me that go, hey, if it wasn't for 12 steps, I would not be here today. If it wasn't for the 12-step program, I would not be sober.
Yeah.
And they say that the 12 steps are the reason they're here today.
Well, 12-step programs have a long history of really helping a lot of people. I do recall that if you look into the statistics on 12-step programs, what we do know is that a high percentage of people who return get a lot of help and benefit, but a high percentage of people don't go to a second meeting. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of people that in the beginning kind of don't click with the 12-step method, and they head off. And the problem in the past has been there haven't been legitimate alternative treatment modalities for those people, and so they often went off to just kind of white-knuckle it on their own or maybe lapse back into use. And I think the benefit of or one of the benefits of the way things are today is that people can have alternative areas. But the 12 steps are still a mainstay. They are still core and very, very helpful to a lot of people.
I mean, even when I was actively drinking, people would say that, and it was kind of a throwaway joke. Like, what step are you on? And that was just kind of the running joke, is that if you were an addict, you were an alcoholic, you got to go to the 12-step. And that's the only thing people knew about. But now there is different modalities. So let's break them down today. So, Patrick, you're a 12-stepper, right?
I am, yeah. Yep.
And it's part of the AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, and the anonymous part is kind of the tricky part, because when I put a Facebook post out there that I wanted someone to come in and talk about the 12 steps, a lot of people weren't like, hey, yeah, we'll do it. But Patrick said, I'm in.
Yeah, I'm not an anonymous alcoholic. I'm very open about my experience, and I need to preface this by saying that I do respect the tradition of anonymity. And I am no way affiliated with the any specific group of AA. Like, I'm not speaking on their behalf.
Yeah.
This is just my experience that I've had with in the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous here in the Salt Lake Valley.
Do you think so? I think I get it. Alcoholics Anonymous started in the 40s, is that right? 1940s? Yep. And I think at that time, our Western culture, American culture is very different. People were not, we hadn't hit kind of the revolution of the 60s and 70s, the social revolutions of that time yet. And so I totally get this concept from being born out of the 40s of anonymity. Right. Like, hey, I don't want anybody to know. If anybody knows that I have a problem, I'll lose my job, I'll lose my marriage, I'll lose my friends, all that kind of stuff. Do you think it's still relevant today? Because we kind of have swung, the pendulum has swung way to the other end of that.
For me, notoriously alcoholics are incapable of being honest. So this is the only way that I know to be completely, really, really honest with myself. And part of this...
Because of the anonymity?
Because of the anonymity, yeah.
Okay. So you feel like if you can stand up in a meeting and not say who you are, well, don't you say your first name?
Yeah.
Can you make up a cool first name?
I'm sure. I guess you could. I'm
Xanthorpe.
Yeah, I'm Xanos.
That's your go-to name?
Yeah, isn't it yours?
No.
When I'm at the Chili's and
Roger
name on the list. Roger.
Yeah.
Mine's like Seymour Butts.
Yeah, there you go.
Something like that.
Yeah.
So it was interesting to me. There's a lot of traditions. There's a lot of sayings and things that in the tradition of AA that are hard to understand. So, when you say people that don't go back, like, I don't know the percentages, and I'm sure there is some statistics on it.
And I don't want to jump to that, but I do know that because of anonymity, studying AA has been notoriously difficult over the years.
Yeah, it has. I want to shout this from the rooftops. You know what I mean? Like, I'm that guy, right? But I also want to respect their traditions.
Sure.
So again, my experience is like, this is the only thing that's kept me sober for this long. My year sobriety date is tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
So,
congratulations.
Yeah, thanks,
so what
guys.
other things have you tried besides the 12-step?
I've just tried white knuckling it. Obviously, I've been in therapy for years. So I saw a therapist almost on a weekly, if not a monthly basis over the past, 7, 8, 9, 10 years that I've been actively an alcoholic. But
why wasn't therapy enough, do you think?
We kind of discussed this out in the hall, right? Like, it was sort of there's only so much that he could do. I would be coming in and saying, "Oh yeah, I've been sober for this long," and we could talk through it, and he could give me, certain things that he'd help other clients with addiction. But there comes a point in time, and what the steps talk about is, the first step is, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, and that our lives have become completely unmanageable.
So that's step one.
And that's step one. And I had not realized that I hadn't taken a really close look at my drinking, what the consequences were, how it affected my life, and that I was completely desperate enough. And I think, to your point, I think you're making a lot of excuses, and you're lazy.
Nice.
Yeah. I was the one that
Because
said I was lazy.
I hear that. I hear your same story in and out of the rooms in AA, and those are the people. And I'm not saying that AA is the fix all for sobriety. It's not. Like, this worked for me, and it's the only thing. I like to call it the path of least resistance, the path, the most allowance for me to stay sober. This has been it.
So I took step one when I was lying on my back, looking up at the stars, and sirens were going, and there was a crash, and it was after the DUI. That's when I admitted that I was powerless. I remember that feeling, going, "What have I done? How did I let this get this way? I can't do this anymore. I've got to do something different." And that's when I went in and made a call to Uni and said, "Hey, look, I need help because I can't do this. I've tried everything I know. I can't do this."
And I think making that, there's a ton of personal power in that first step, primarily because it's counterintuitive to all the other ways we live our lives. Like, we usually don't wake up and say, "I'm powerless at my job. I'm powerless to find a date."
Giving away your power typically isn't a good
right.
Good way
we
to
try
live.
to gather. We do a lot of things. A lot of therapy sessions are built around a person empowering him or herself, and so feeling like I have power and control over important aspects of my life is something that we work towards all the time. And so it's very counterintuitive for a person to actually truly admit that they are powerless in any area of
We
life.
tell our kids at a young age, you can do anything you want. Just set your mind to it. And trust me, I set my mind to not drinking. I tried everything,
Sure.
to the best of my ability. But my ability only took me so far. And that's when I was like, I need someone else to step in and help me out and give me the tools to get my life back.
Yeah.
So what's step two?
Well, step two, we think I should have these memorized, but I don't. So, step two, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. So basically, this is saying that, and again, there's a lot of reason why I think people, poo-poo AA is they don't believe in God. They don't believe in a higher power. And I think what the founders did about this is they left it really open-ended. Right? They said came to believe that a power greater than yourself. Now, what does that mean?
Well,
that could mean anything, right? That could be the universe. That could be, the group. A lot of people focus on that.
I know a lot of people bail out of AA because of that step two.
Right.
They do. A lot of people fight that. And I think that's a lot of addicts just looking for a reason for this program to fail.
Yeah.
And just setting themselves up and going, "Hey, I don't believe in this, so this is not going to work for me," and then just going, "I'm out."
Well, I mean, that's going to if you want to find an excuse to go back to drinking, you'll find it, right? But do you think people actually misinterpret that step as a need to be religious?
Some people, when I was in recovery and we were talking about this, you always had somebody who has said, "Well, what if my God is a tree?" Or you had a girl that go, "What if God's a girl?" It says him in there. And I think to his Patrick's point is that they left it pretty open and to whatever you understand it to be.
Yeah, and for me, I grew up religious and was taught, about this sort of all-fearing type God. Whatever. I honestly don't know what it looks like now, but for me, it's sort of this universe, co-creation sort of thing. And the experiences, hearing the experiences with other people, like you said, like there's all these people in these rooms that are exactly like me. And you hear your story and you're like, okay, what are you doing? How are you doing this? Like, teach me your ways. Like, teach me, Obi-Wan. I want to know what this power is. Because I went to AA because I wanted to stop drinking. That was it. But these steps are sort of a guideline for living your life. I've said it many times, like, come check out a meeting. There's Al-Anon as well. That families that are struggling with trying to communicate, understand addiction with the family member. Al-Anon is the sister program that helps families understand alcoholics.
Even if you weren't an alcoholic, these 12 steps would be great steps to live by.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, they're a guide. They're a guide for living, and however you want to interpret that, there's different ways to do it.
So I don't want to get hung up too much on step two, but step two is, once again, read it for me.
Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. So in there, you have to believe that you're sort of insane. Like,
that's the implication.
Yeah,
right?
the implication is like, we're all crazy.
And I would say maybe the way I would kind of shave the rough edges off of that would be that if you think you can control your drinking at that point, you're delusional.
Right.
And so that's a delusional mindset, or is insane, so to speak. And so we're trying to get back to reality with steps 1 and 2.
For an alcoholic, again, they're incapable of being honest with themselves. So they create this narrative. They're like, oh, no, I don't have a problem. I can have that first drink. Mm-hmm. And that's the delusion that you're talking about.
Right.
Oh, yeah, I can control my drinking. I can switch whatever I'm drinking this week. I can just take it or leave it, which I got to the point where I could not have just one drink. I had to have 10. Mm-hmm. And once you realize that you are like, I need this program. Like, I absolutely need this program, or else it's going to kill me. This disease will kill me, because my brain does not want just one. I want 20.
So let's go to step 3.
Step 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. So basically,
how's that different than 2?
Well, you need to have some willingness, right? You need to accept the fact, even if you're an atheist or you don't believe in a power greater than yourself, you need to come to a decision that you need help, and that there's a power greater than you, whatever that looks like to you. Again, that could be the group, that could be the universe, and you just sort of turn that will over. And that's that humility part where you want to give up. Like you're done. Like, I got to the point where I was so sick and tired of being sick and tired. I was so sick and tired of the rigmarole of drinking, of waking up hungover. I mean, I can't even tell you like how much ibuprofen I took. I can't believe my liver's still functioning at this point. And that's that, and that's that willingness to like, okay, I need some help here. I can't do this on my own.
And I think that's another step for me that I didn't jive with.
Yeah.
And the truth be told, I don't know what I believe in right now. I mean, I just being honest with you. There's so many questions and so many things bouncing around in my head.
You could go with the tree.
Yeah, I could go with the tree. Yeah. And it might be a tree, and I might believe in karma. My typical answer when people ask me what I believe in, and this is not a joke, this is really what I say to people. I said I believe in the Boy Scout method. And they go, what does that mean? When you're a Boy Scout and you go to a campsite, they always tell you, leave it a little better than you got it.
Right, that's true. So
that's how I treat life right now. When I leave, if I left it a little better than I got it, whatever's on the other side, I think I'm going to be okay.
Yeah, sure.
And so that's how I live my life
you might
right now.
get a merit badge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got kicked out of Weeblos.
I bet you did.
I did.
I hated scouts.
So, but that's my philosophy. And, I try to talk to my kids about it, and I don't want to, prejudice their beliefs. I want them to find out for themselves what they believe in. And so for me...
Well, that journey, that it sounds a little out there to call it a journey, but that journey of discovering what you believe in is a journey of empowerment for a person. And unfortunately, too many people just, take for granted whatever they're taught, and they don't challenge it, and they don't absorb their own belief system. And it is a little scary to go for periods of time in your life not being sure, not knowing how to answer that question.
But I know there's been things and stuff that's happened in my life that I know they are blessings, true blessings, that I've been blessed. I've been given these gifts. And so I don't know what it is, but I don't want to take them for advantage anymore.
I thought you were going to go all John Lennon on me.
No.
Say you don't believe in Beatles, you just believe in me.
Wow.
I could be the walrus.
Thought that you could be the walrus. Today you are.
This would be a good time to take a break. We'll come back with step 4 on Project Recovery.
I'm Dave Cawley, investigative journalist and host of the podcast Cold. Don't miss Cold's new Season 3, where I look into the unsolved disappearance of Cherie Warren, a woman last seen leaving her job at a Salt Lake City office in 1985. Police cast suspicion on Cherie's estranged husband and boyfriend, but never made any arrests or recovered Cherie's remains. Find Cold Season 3, The Search for Cherie, anywhere you get your podcasts.
All right, so what's step 4?
Step 4 is made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves.
Now, this one I liked.
Really?
Yeah.
I was not expecting that. It sounds a little too intense.
Well, to me, it says, and once again, this is just the way I interpret it, a moral inventory. And it honestly looked inside what made me happy, what scared me, so and kind of put it on a value scale.
So, Patrick, define that for us. Is he on track? Is that what a moral inventory is?
These are the recovery steps. So steps 4 through 9 are like the meat of the steps of AA.
Like the action.
These are the action parts where you take pen to paper and you write down everything. From start to finish, all your fears, all the people that you have resentments against, all of your sexual inventory. Like you're writing down. This is an action step. I've been working on my 4th step for almost 6 months.
Wow.
Like I've been lazy about it. I've been dragging my feet with my sponsor, and he's upset at me. So if he's listening, I'm sorry, bro. But this was hard. This is really hard. For an alcoholic who's incapable of being honest with themselves.
And probably incapable of remembering things.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot, there's certain, you're taught to write it all down, to what was your part in it? Why do you have this resentment against this person?
Wow, that's
who did you offend and why? And this is the responsibility piece. Like you have to take responsibility for not only when you were drinking, but these are the sort of the recovery steps that you actively, even if after you complete the 12 steps, like this isn't you just throw your hands up and walk away and say, okay, I did my 12 steps, like I'm done. Like you're an alcoholic and you're going to be an alcoholic for the rest of your life. Like how are you going to incorporate, these principles and these ideas into your daily life? And these steps and this 4th step, you can continue to go back and you'll have resentments that pop up, people that offend you throughout your life.
And this is broad across your life, not just during periods when you were drinking.
Right. Yeah. Well, particularly, when you're an active alcoholic, like you're
drinking all the time.
You're drinking all the time, right? So there wasn't a point in time where, you're going to say and do things. You're going to, just the trail of
carnage
that you have. The wreckage from your past. The selfishness, the everything that incorporates what an alcoholic does. Like this step, you have to do a fearless moral inventory of yourself, and it's hard. It's hard stuff. This is where most people fall out.
And I've seen a lot of times that when I was in the rooms of people saying they've been working on their 4th step for years, months, and there's some people that get like this, just this go-get-em attitude, and they go, yeah, I got through the 12 steps in 8 months. And other people are like, did you really do it? Because this takes some time.
Yeah. This step is, makes you take a look at what your part is. Like, how can I clean my part of the street up with that wreckage and that carnage of the past? It's crazy. And it teaches you how to forgive yourself. Like that's a huge piece for me. That's something that I still struggle with.
It's a lot of insight development, a lot of self-reflection. It's good therapy.
Yeah, it is very good therapy.
Could it be harmful?
I think if you don't have support when you're doing something like this, if you didn't have a mentor or sponsor to talk to, if you were somebody who was really self-deprecating all the time and you looked at these things just in a self-blaming sort of way, then I suppose it could be. But I think if you have the attitude of growth, I'm doing this to become a better person. Yeah. I don't expect to already be a perfect person or anything like that. Then I think you'd be safe to do it.
Step 5.
Step 5 is admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. So basically, after your step 4, you're taught to go and basically talk about and admit, confess, whatever you want to call it, your
God, yourself, and another person
being.
So most people read this list to their sponsor.
To their sponsor, yeah. I mean, these are a lot of the dirty, dark secrets that we hold as humans that tend to eat us up.
Sometimes this might be the first time this thing's ever been spoken.
Right. Yeah. And again, this is that condition of anonymity, right? Like, this is like, I'm telling this stuff to my sponsor in good faith, that knowing that he's not going to go
confidential.
Yeah, he's not going to go blast this on the KSL Recovery podcast.
Yeah.
And that's something that when you're in AA that people take very seriously.
That aspect of confidentiality is an essential part of any type of psychotherapy as well.
Right.
Because when you know that what you're saying is being held in strict confidence, then a person breaks down those layers, those defensive layers, and they'll really open up and do some soul searching.
Right.
And it's funny, I'll have a person maybe who I've worked with for a while, and we're kind of getting into something new and something deep, and sometimes they'll do a little check with me. They'll be like, "This is confidential, right?" Like, yeah, just like it was 6 months ago. What are you talking about? But I mean,
they just want that assurance.
They want that assurance because they're about to go deeper, and that really is an essential aspect of growth, is to feel like you're going to be protected.
Yeah, and that's important to make sure that you find a sponsor that you trust and that you vibe with. And there's no set rules around finding that person. Like, you can go through multiple sponsors. I've had 2 since I've been in the program over the past year. And different sponsors have different sets of rules and requirements for you to complete. And it's kind of up to you to kind of navigate those waters, which is like, there's no set formula. That's kind of what I like about AA. Like, you don't have to do it perfectly. There's these steps, but how you interpret these, how you interpret your idea of God, is totally up to you. And how you want to work these steps is up to you and your sponsor. Obviously, I think it's smart to do it 1 through 12, and obviously they kind of fall in line that way.
Yeah.
But,
You're listening to Project Recovery, a podcast about addiction, more importantly about recovery. We're talking with Patrick Williams. We're breaking down the 12 steps of AA. Make sure you join us over on part 2 of the podcast where we pick this up.
The contents of this program are for informational purposes only. The program is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician, licensed therapist, or other qualified health provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you've heard on this program. KSL does not recommend or endorse any specific tests, physicians, products, procedures, opinions, or other information that may be mentioned on the program. Reliance on any information provided on the program is solely at your own risk.